Alrighty, well, welcome back to another episode of The 12, our epic campaign of discovery and adventure across the continent of Corvair. This story streams live Sundays at 6 p.m. Central here on Javelin Entertainment, and if you happen to miss the last session, you can check it out on the channel page or by clicking the link down in the description.
Last time, combat with the constructs had broken out in the courtyard. As the group began to rush in, strange pulses emitted from a nearby tower and disrupted any attempts to cast magic. Ray assassinated some of the warforged from the grass, and Roland was amped up by Greystorm and Clyde and took out multiple of these other corrupted creatures. Bungo caught sight of another Reanimator, and that terrified him and sent him flying across the battlefield. However, the Reanimator went to paralyze Roland instead. Jasira, using her healing knowledge, was quick to remove it before he could be pulled inside of this creature's tube-like structure, and Bungo tried to catapult rock into the creature's tube, but was animated by the Mournland into a rock golem that proved to be another small issue with this space. Theschault, in the meantime, launched multiple creatures off the cliffside, and when the Reanimator went after Theschault, he was able to withstand the paralysis and tossed Rhea through the creature, destroying it. Elsewhere, Boko had been experiencing numerous visions or dreams while struggling to understand who or what he was. He was put under again, this time seeing visions of a priest named Zobek talking to a construct that was referred to as Zero, about a promise of what these constructs could be. Boko was then shown a vision of the construct experiencing the day of mourning and the end of Sire before darkness claimed him once more. When he awoke once more on the table, confusion by all he was shown and confronted by a strange shadowy figure. Where is Boko? What are these shadowy figures doing with him, and what is waiting for our heroes inside of Starmantle's Citadel? Let's tune in and find out.
So, after you all had finally destroyed the Reanimator, left here in this space just outside of the large observatory known as Starmantle Citadel, you all are in this courtyard, maybe about 100 feet square, surrounded by tall buildings. These structures rise up on three of your four corners, and one behind you is this cliffside that reaches down to the Mournland far below. You can see kind of up to the north is this passageway that it seems to lead towards the main structure. To the west is a kind of stone path that looks like it has a downward slope. And then to your kind of southwest is where that large tower that was emitting those pulses and where the Reanimator had come from. And the door there still lies open. What would you all like to do?
Further in. Does anybody need a rest?
I don't think it's probably a great idea to sleep around here. Especially with that blue light there. We probably should figure that out before we leave, too. Or at least break it, maybe.
Yeah, I'd love to see what that is.
Bungo, the new Boko.
And
Alright. I'll help investigate the blue light.
I
Anyone who needs to
appreciate
should
that.
take a quick moment to patch up the more grievous wounds, and then we can be off.
I did quite a bit of healing last time, and no spells because spells are scary.
And
Austin.
yeah,
I don't think I ever rolled for the journal.
oh,
Also, there should be no... Hey, I'll tell you all. Clyde will let you all know. Cure Wounds is not viable from Clyde at this time.
That was way more ominous than it ever should have been.
It's It will not. It's not going to work like we want it to. Even if all the things of this place don't go off, it's just going to be a bad time. And then he's going to take his non-ghost arm. And go. I think the arm is evil.
Came to that conclusion all by yourself, did you?
Well, I've had some time to think about it now. And some's telling me that its connection with the blood spine whip, it's just not a good combo for my image.
Because you're an individual who's very focused on their image.
Well, I wasn't trying to be the most bloodthirsty, but I don't think that's actually what's really important right now. Just letting you all know that if I have to heal you, don't make it be me.
So do I.
And for you, Roland, for today, you have the spell Wither and Bloom. But
I have a slightly larger baby heal in the back pocket.
But for everyone, you still see this pulse that is just catching the edge of your group every couple of seconds. Just this oof that emanates out from this kind of side tower off of the main structure of the building.
Clyde's gonna walk like 5 feet away from where the pulse makes him like tingle where his magic can't happen. Alright, so who wants to go in there first?
I'm going to step also outside of the radius, wait for the Peter Tingle to dissipate, and then cast guidance on myself and walk in.
Okay. As you guys begin to step into this open doorway, you see quite the sight. This circular room that is just covered in various types of mechanical and arcane contraptions scattered across the walls and the floor. And there is this space above where it is open to the sky. But what dominates your vision is some sort of massive cylindrical construct in the center that is just emanating this blue glow. And it is built out of this dark steel-like material with these large, what almost look like appendages or horns just stretching out from this face-like metallic shape as you stare and watch this strange appearance in front of you.
Bungo? You in there?
No, not. I really hope not. Well, alright, which one of us wants to touch it? I will, but if I'm touching it, I'm touching it with the evil arm.
Not touch things with the evil arm.
Nah, I don't. I already lost the one arm.
Then let's not touch things. I'll go up and investigate it. I'm looking for traps, power sources.
Gently poking various things as he investigates.
Yeah, if you want to give you an investigation check, go ahead.
Alright.
Would you find a song to be particularly motivating right now?
You
Oh, I certainly would.
As the yeah.
Not super
yes.
loud though. I don't want to have to fight anymore, and I think these things can hear.
Yeah. So I think it would really help him harken back to his days on the ship. The Viking Scalds.
Excellent. I will give you a bardic inspiration, my friend, but it can only be done via accordion.
You need to sing a song about a big tentacle monster coming up and eating a ship. He really liked that one. He blew a big old hole in it.
The time that I stunned the tentacle monster by missing it. Obviously, it didn't know me yet. Alright. I'll do investigation, and then we'll go ahead with the guidance, and then we'll go ahead and burn that bardic inspiration as well. What's the die size?
D8.
D8.
Ooh.
36.
And can you repeat what you're specifically trying to ascertain or understand?
I want to. The primary thing is the primary thing is if Clyde pokes something, what's going to hurt him, and then the secondary is I'm looking for power sources, checking to see if it's sentient, checking to see what its purpose is.
And its effect on magic. Clyde's hand, it might have some effect each pulse.
Yeah, and like what it is, what its purpose is, what it's doing to us. I guess I would move up to number 2. Third would be power source.
Yeah. So immediately looking upon this construct, you know that it is so alien that it is not something that would typically be built even by artificers that you know of in the metropolis, which are the leading edge as far as you know. What this is it is a further fusion of biomimicry almost, where these appendages they move and shift ever so slightly, not like a real tentacle but flowing almost like hair, where it is just this soft gentle movements, but observing it is, at least as far as you can tell, completely mechanical. As far as its power, it doesn't seem to be attached to anything external. Whatever it is existing, whatever it is operating, if it has power, it is all self-contained into whatever this central object is. You do immediately notice that this material, this metal, it's not like any steel you've seen. In fact, it's like an entirely different metal that you've seen. That same metal that was making up portions of the Titan, portions of the emissary, and even Boko's skeleton itself. Whatever this metal is, this is on a much grander scale, though.
Can I look around for any, like, loose pieces on the ground of it that I can pick up for just, like, bar stock to examine later?
Yeah, you examine this whole space, and while there are tons of machinery and metal and things scattered across this space, you don't see any just working remains of this material.
Sure.
Whatever is here, it is complete. It's not a work in progress. You're not sure looking at this. This is not a structure that, even with your experience in reading, that you're familiar enough to know any possible dangers, but it is significant. And you, knowing just how you would protect something, know that it is unlikely that just the creatures that you defeated in the courtyard, that was the only defense mechanism it has. But how they're triggered or what they would do, it's very difficult to tell looking on it from the outside without spending a lot of time trying to understand whatever this thing. It's like looking into another world and seeing something that you just can't comprehend in this moment. And even picking out these pieces, tying these things together, starting to build this map is already impressive, already significant. And as you're kind of looking around this space, you do see a doorway towards the back edge. But other than that, this space seems entirely dedicated to whatever this construct is. And I'll say one other thing looking at it. You can understand that clearly the way that it's built, it was added on to the original intention of whatever this space was.
Okay.
Roland, you want me to go find a 15-foot stick? We can poke it.
15 feet in what dimension?
The fifth.
Not getting no time sticks.
This is beyond anything that any stick can poke an answer out of.
And Roland, every few seconds you still see that pulse and those that blue energy that you can just peek at through what almost looks like eye sockets on this thing. That energy pulses and releases that wave that washes over you and everyone else nearby.
Okay, can I roll something for... How does that feel to Clyde's arm being in its weird magical ghost effect?
Roll me a charisma check. We'll try and do it. Or insight if you're trained in insight.
I do have insight. It's not great, but...
You don't feel anything particularly unique or special whenever this wave hits you from your arm.
Clyde's gonna get a 15-foot stick.
From where? There
In
are
what
no
dimension?
There are no large trees around this area.
We broke some of those robot things, right?
Yeah.
Probably rig up 15-foot of arms.
You definitely did not put 15 feet of arms in your back.
No, I'm just thinking about outside.
Oh. I mean,
Just,
if you want to try
get them
and
to, like, shake hands and then
I was just thinking, I really don't want to just touch it.
it would
the
take some
elbows
time.
lock out so we can like keep them level.
Just a thought in my head.
It would take some time to build a contraption that size. And I will say the structure that you're looking at is immense. Like the lip, that bottom kind of well shape
is big,
is
much
like
bigger.
5 feet on its own. And then there is
Great.
like 5 to 10 feet of these various contraptions. And then the cylinder itself goes from about 15 feet to about 65 feet up in the air.
Yeah, I think I
Oh my.
don't know if there's enough arms out there.
Yeah, Roland is just like, he
I
knows
don't
that
think
he
we
has.
should leave it though.
Roland knows that he has a very limited amount of time with this, and so he's got a notebook out and he's just sketching
Okay.
and like taking down any measurements, any observations that he can, because he wants to capture as much as he possibly can in the few minutes before we move on.
And you see Greystorm beside you, who is just like awestruck and not even sure how to make words about what he's witnessing.
You can start with, it's blue. That's what I did.
And Roland, you look over at Greystorm at this moment, and he is also still blue.
The chosen one.
So, was this thing here before the mist was here?
Clyde's pretty sure. Well, we're pretty sure this thing's attached to the warforged, and Clyde remembers there being warforged before the war, as kind of a thing that was happening.
Do you want to roll a history check, Clyde?
I would love to roll a history check.
Yeah, so
I guess.
you summarized it pretty well. Warforged definitely existed before the end of the last war, and the last war ended with the Day of Mourning. And the Warforged were a hot topic during the war, and were kind of one of the main topics of the Treaty of Thronehold after that peace was signed.
So in that case, wouldn't one expect that this is in like a book or in a story or something? Like, what? Does anybody know what this is or anything like that?
I'll say with the history check, Clyde, you do know that the secrets of how the Warforged were constructed are highly confidential, and there are many legends and myths about how they were made.
No real definite things.
And a very robust scientific and philosophical argument about whether or not artificial intelligence was life. As Roland discovered in the library that we found in the middle of the Mournlands.
So we think this might be what powers all the warforged?
Or is the next
It does
generation?
something.
And the warforged are all bad, right?
I don't know. Oh, but a lot of them you find out here at least really don't like people.
The ones out here have been corrupted. That is plain to see to the naked eye. Would you call Bungo evil?
Almost certainly.
Fair.
I saw Bungo chop a dwarf into little pieces once. But he's an alright guy.
I mean, just because you're evil doesn't mean you're a bad guy, right?
Well, we were
Because you're
pirates.
a bad guy does not mean you're a bad guy.
So what are we going to do with this thing?
That's what I want to know. I don't
don't
feel
think
like
we-
we should leave it. Is that
don't-
good or bad?
I don't think we can do anything with it in any relevant amount of time. Unless you want to set up a new civilization here dedicated to figuring out how this thing works, whether or not we should break it, and how to break it if we decide we should break it.
Absolutely not.
What we can do is make sure that we come back and can report this to the 12. They can organize a much stronger expedition back to this place. This is far beyond just the safety of one city or one sector of a city. This discovery is something entirely different.
In the meantime, do we want to turn it off?
Wow.
I don't know how. The power source is internal.
It pulses, and I'm pretty sure whatever it's doing is not going to be great for us long term.
I mean, it's big, it's got wires, and it's making light. It's got to be able to be turned off, right?
Like I said, the power source is internal. And there isn't a stick that has been made yet that can poke that answer out.
What if we
So,
stick our
there is a-
hands in the eyeballs? Thought about that?
You are welcome to try.
All right, Bungo, you get up there.
No,
I'm going
that's
through-
okay.
I am going through that door. And he's going to walk around behind it and through the door that he found. He's got his notes, he's headed out.
Ah, there's a door that's not here. Well, that's probably better.
Roland, you walk through this, and it's a pretty hefty metallic door. And inside is
I am going through that door.
Oh,
it's not quite that heavy, but it's certainly built to be sturdy. It's not just a simple door. This one, it just as you move through it, not only is it made of metal, but it appears to have some sort of mechanical seal rather than just being an open door to let air or something else through. And on
that's
the
a good sign.
on the other side of it, as it is unlocked, you see about a 20 by 40 foot rectangular chamber. And there are 5 of these semicircular kind of not corridors, but places in the wall where these larger bluish stones sit. They're each about maybe 8 to 10 feet in a roughly spherical shape, though it's a very jagged crystal. But they kind of just hover above these semicircular mounting points along the wall. And there are 3 along one side, and then there's some sort of mechanical apparatus at the far end of the wall, and then there are 2 along the other side as you come through this door.
He thought he was finding a way out. He's going to sigh deeply and then pull his notebook out and start taking more notes.
And all of these arcane crystals seem to be of a very similar shade to what you were seeing emitted from those spaces in that in the chamber that you just came out of.
What happens if we pull out the crystal that we fought so hard for, that Boko gave his life to protect?
What we do is we stick it in Boko's chest, attach his body back to his torso, and hope for the best.
Does there appear to be anything that looks vaguely like the crystal would power this? Like any sort of a gap or something like this might be a key or anything like that?
Whoever would like to can make an investigation check or an arcana check.
I would love to. I'll do Arcana this time, why not? Oh, forget the guidance, I forgot to turn it off. That's only a 20.
Even still, looking around, Roland, you believe this to be artificial simulations of what you fought for. However, they are clearly vastly inefficient due to the number of them and the size of them that you see compared to what you have.
Oh, these look like the gem?
They don't look like the gem, but they look like someone tried to create the gem, and this is what they ended up with. This is as close as they got.
Uh-oh.
Oh!
Oh, you got the real shit.
We've got to try it, right?
Nope, we don't. We gotta get out of here.
Look, cause yeah, if they were one, they might have been one to put it in here.
Like, hear me out though. Fortune has handed us both the key and the lock.
And a ticking time bomb that we need to get away from.
And Bungo, there was a thing in here that at one point killed everyone in this entire country.
Uh-huh.
In like that. So, just on the off chance that the weird magic thing we're looking at did that, maybe we don't turn it on.
Also, given the fact that everything that is warforged related in this city has been fighting us so far, maybe we don't turn it on.
Maybe we should leave. You
Yeah.
know what?
Maybe it's already on. Maybe we're turning it off.
Or maybe we should leave.
I think I'm with Roland on this one. I feel woefully under-equipped and underpaid to handle whatever this thing is.
Yes, we can come back with the 12. If the opportunity presents. After they've had a chance to study the gem. But we have no idea what this gem actually does. We've had one anecdotal experience with it.
But on the other hand, nah, we should probably definitely be gone.
Yes.
Won't you look
You're
back
still
though,
right,
every
Roland.
night from now and just wonder what would have happened if you tried it and if you pushed the
No,
button?
that's what whiskey's for.
Yes, I will wonder, and then I will read my
And
notes that I'm
speaking
still
of,
able to
that's
read
what I
because
want
I
when
still
we
have
leave.
eyeballs, and I will be content.
He's a little iffy about his eyeballs. You shouldn't get on about that. Once you start talking about his eyeballs, we should let him be.
I am thoroughly disappointed, but I will follow in tow and not push the cool button. The Chekhov's magic crystal here calls to me like no other, but
Rennie,
I
why
will
don't
refrain.
you give me an investigation or perception check?
I'm getting the crystal away from Rennie while he does this.
What you don't know is Rennie has taken the crystal 20 minutes ago.
Well, it's a good thing I'm exceptionally skilled at taking things back, whether or
Okay.
not the owner is aware or willing.
So Rennie, you're not one for like book smarts per se. And what you find yourself in is so fascinating and intriguing to you that your eyes are just scanning over this space. And you can see that each of these large crystals that kind of hover, they're hovering over some sort of mechanism that is connected together by these large metallic pipes. And all of it kind of seems towards this central mechanism at one side, but it doesn't have a space for the gem. This mechanism, it's some sort of interface, but it is alien. It is made of stone and it has these strange ridges on it. If this is a keyhole, it's unlike any sort of keyhole that you've seen. This space, it seems complete and functional. It doesn't seem like your gem was needed to activate this. But what you're standing in front of, this mechanism, does seem to be wherever all of this was controlled from.
It's like someone saw a lightsaber and decided to build a particle accelerator.
All right, I suppose you're right. There's nothing obvious that it looks like this touches, and all of the things that seem to want to fight us for this thing. So let's keep it put away.
Yes. Yes.
All right. And as you guys kind of walk back through that cylindrical chamber and out the doors to the courtyard, you see one smaller door off to your left. You see that stone platform that weaves down in front of you, and then off to your right, you kind of see this pathway that looks like it connects to the building in front of you and continues further on.
I'm looking to Greystorm at this point because he's the expert here.
I see your eyes looking for answers, and I know that, or believe that what we are searching for is here, but I have never been here, nor seen any drawings of the layout. In fact, this is a facility much larger than what I was expecting. Normally, I would imagine research facilities are small, and this one is not. Your guess is as good as mine here. Though perhaps once we find areas, we can look for clues to the directions where we are headed. If this facility is at all like the towers, then people need some sort of signs to get around to know where things are at.
Fair enough. Let's go find a hallway with a sign in it. The interior ones are more likely to have survived than the exterior.
All right. So you're headed left, straight, or right?
Oh, ignore
Which
that.
one looks like it goes further?
Right looks like it goes towards the main structure, and to the kind of structure right in front of you. Left is kind of a rough stone path that looks like it heads downwards. Right heads towards more of the buildings. Straight is that rough stone path that heads downwards, and left is like a small side door.
Well, they hide all the secrets in the basement. Go down first.
All
Yeah,
right.
let's do it.
You guys begin to walk down this stone path, kind of moving over some of the bodies of the corrupted warforged as you go. And very quickly you see where there is a walkway built above you. You see where it kind of bridges between the buildings on your left and the main structure on your right. And you can see it connecting above with this kind of intricate, well-built stone rail, but you can't see much beyond that as you continue.
Like an observation deck?
This doesn't seem so much as an observation deck. This seems like a fancy walkway connecting the buildings.
Because I don't like being on the wrong side of the observation deck.
Hey, you don't know anything about that.
It's generally bad.
But yes, as you continue onwards, lower and lower, eventually this stone pathway leads you maybe about 15-20 feet below, where you finally emerge and see small bits of blue purple light. As you kind of enter this chamber where you were kind of open to the sky above, you now enter into what almost looks like a cave. And as you pop out of that cave, you find yourself in what would seem like a large cavern, except half of it is open to that massive cliffside that you've seen before, and wind is kind of whipping in from the side. It is this massive opening, and in the center of this space is this jagged amethyst platform, made of gemstone, but also kind of topped with this intricate rough-hewn stone that has numerous runes across it and small pedestals where these purple blue orbs kind of rest. And then beneath that amethyst gemstone platform, there is a massive smooth stone rock sphere that has just lines of this thick purple glowing dust that are just traced along in different directions, not quite like runes, but just in geometric patterns across this sphere that is probably like 30-40 feet across, at least, in this just massive open space. And quickly you try and look around and you see a few of these what are commonly known as mage lights. They're kind of like torches, but they use a arcane fire rather than a natural one, and so they're still illuminated.
Roland, you gonna investigate this one too?
This place I believe I can help with. I am familiar, at least in part. These types of arcane devices were used early, or for early versions, but late in the war, for docking stations for the elemental airships that were created. Unlike the ones that Onder uses now that are heavily mechanical, the elemental airships used connections to the elemental planes.
This operates off of a similar type of magic as the storm well, harnessing power from another element, coalescing it and channeling it.
The ships, yes. This is a docking station that assisted in providing some stability, as the ships were known for their erratic patterns. This allowed them to maneuver in tight spaces.
So, Professor, are science and magic just basically the same thing?
I asked the question. All right, we're gonna be here all day. I'm gonna take a sit down.
When people refer to magic, it is simply just science that is yet to be understood.
Alright, so magic flies airships, science flies airships, magic creates the effects I do. Does science create the effects I do too? Is it really all just intertwined?
It is one and the same. When we have rules for how we believe magic works, then we call it science. When I say that the Ondarian airships are different than the originals, it is the way they operate. We as humans understand mechanical connections far more than we understand the latent energies of other spaces. The original elemental warships were very erratic in their patterns. Onder's warships are much more stable.
So do you think one day I'll be able to understand how my magic works?
I believe that with all of my heart, and I am open to assisting you in getting there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if that was a dumb question. This is very confusing.
Nah, you see, because sometimes it ain't a science and it's an art. But you still gotta practice at it.
I skipped most of my classes in school.
That's fine, I didn't go to school.
Often with things that we still refer to as magic that are misunderstood or not fully defined, they have some principles that we understand, and like Clyde is saying, they require practice to be able to properly put into... to get the results that you truly desire, or close to them.
And
I think-
sometimes magic artifacts are just bullshit. Clyde stroking his face with his ghost arm.
They are complicated, yes. Roland, as this conversation has been happening, you've been looking over this chamber, and it does appear to be mostly empty. The whole chamber looks like it's been mined out rather than built. And the ground, the walls, it's all nestled with these natural ore veins of this amethyst colored gemstone. And you see about 5 or 6 different small chambers where these large stones kind of have been cleared off. The larger deposits of this crystal have been kind of cleaned and maintained. And some of them appear like they could have been used for storage or spaces to hold while people were loading or unloading. And then nearby that central platform that appears to be however they controlled this space, there is another door.
Well, let's see what's behind door number 2.
You push this one open as it is unlocked, and you see a small little passage. Again, another mage light lighting this hall. And around the corner, you see stairs that continue upwards. Before we leave, while this space is familiar, that large sphere is not. I'm not sure if there is something beyond that might be worth understanding at some point. But I understand if we are focused for now.
If there's anything that anyone wants to take a look at, let's take a look at it. I'm as curious as the next person.
And
And anything that's not nailed down, I'm sure the 12 would like more than just the orb.
Greystorm kind of smiles for a moment and moves over to where this platform is, surrounded by this amethyst gemstone, and just kind of tries to examine the runes. And Roland, you can see on his face the reactions of a frustrated academic. He doesn't seem to be understanding at all what any of this means.
I'll go over and see if I can make any sense of it, since I do know quite a few languages.
Yeah, you can give me an Arcana check if you're looking at the runes, or an Arcana or Tinker's check if you're trying to understand what this space is.
We'll do Arcana since I have expertise in that. Ew, doesn't help much with a 5.
Yeah, so looking at this, just looking at what Greystorm is inspecting, the purple seems to be that a reagent that offers some sort of stability or control over objects. And yet this space around you, it seems to be tacked onto that, into it, in addition to utilizing that effect for something greater or grander. But exactly what it is, you can't quite put into words or understanding. And the runes, with magical runes, it's not so much like a language that you read, but rather a equation that you have to understand. And so the characters make sense to you, but the patterns, they're not fitting just yet. And you see here these three thin pedestals that have the orbs upon them, and towards the central one, there's actually what looks to be a small little lever. But other than that, it seems to be all that's contained here.
You had to put a physical lever in front of me, didn't you?
Of course I did.
Yellow lever.
I think we can grab a hand if you want someone else, if another thing to open it instead of you.
Oh, the lever, Kronk.
Clyde's going to make sure he is not standing directly where, like right behind where Roland is, just in case a pitfall does open up underneath him.
Roland, are you trying to activate this lever?
I'd like to take a closer look at the lever and see if I can ascertain what it activates.
Sure, give me an investigation check.
Okay.
Lever, tell me your secrets.
Slightly better.
This lever is clearly connected directly to the pedestals directly to that runic circle, the runic circle directly to the amethyst gemstone, and that amethyst gemstone directly to whatever this sphere below is. All of it is intrinsically connected and somehow operates together. And looking at the mechanism, it appears that this lever has different points where it can be set. And you kind of look down at the side, and each of them is kind of marked with a small gemstone of a different color. The one where it currently resides is purple. Or sorry, is blue.
How far away is the purple one?
You don't see a purple one. I got that wrong.
Oh, okay.
It's blue, green, yellow, orange, red.
Okay. Okay. The runes on the ground were purple, so I was wondering if it was a color matching game.
Yeah, you look and they have like a purplish blue hint. They're similar but not quite the same.
Oh, I'm gonna lay a hand on it
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of look around. If no one's stopping me, I'm gonna crank it to one gemstone up and see what happens.
Everyone is watching just you do this. So when you turn around, it's like, I hope no one's watching. Just so you know, Clyde is 100% watching. I don't think anyone else.
No. He's looking and he sees people watching him doing nothing to stop him, and that's the acquiescence.
I mean, I'll take notes if you want, but
Are people nearby, or is everyone kind of keeping a distance from Roland at this point?
Oh yeah, I'm hanging out somewhat close. I'm interested.
I'd probably be close.
Clyde's like 10 foot to the left of Roland, just in case.
All right.
Nearby-ish.
Roland, as you begin to hit this lever and lift it up to the next one, there is a heavy clanking and whirring of mechanisms as those gemstones click into place, and the entire cylinder begins to rise up into the air. As it lifts and elevates, you all kind of quickly find that you're either on some sort of platform that is elevating or next to it. I'll say for Jasira, Rhea, and Bungo, you three had given kind of on the edge here. You see this platform beginning to rise without you. What are you doing?
Momo.
If the rest of the party is there, I'll hop on.
Give me a athletics or acrobatics check.
Oh,
Likewise.
No,
Do not want to be left behind.
Jasira?
Alright.
Oh, I did not mean to be at advantage. That was left over from last time. I got an 8.
Yeah, so as everyone begins to rush forward and kind of
guys.
hop onto this platform that is beginning to rise upwards, with Rhea and Clyde, both of you hop onto the edge and are trying to scrabble up. But as it's rising quickly into the ceiling, you can see that there's going to be a spot where this circle hits the edge of the ceiling, and will leave you into pieces.
Pull us up.
Is anyone rushing to help
pull
them?
them up?
Yeah, Theschault, you can give me. Are you rushing to Clyde or Rhea?
Well, probably. That's a good question. I've seen Clyde be. I've seen Clyde be able to fish himself out of bad situations. I'll help Rhea.
Clyde is staring directly at
He's
you.
an OG member of this party.
Yeah, but he also can. I also believe he can make it much easier than you could.
He's old.
As you
He's
do
lived a
this,
long
you
life.
hear yourself, I'll remember this, Theschault.
Well, because anyway.
Is anybody else rushing to assist Clyde? No one.
Can you hear Bree?
No, I
Yes,
cannot.
yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I
What?
can hear her.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Bree,
can hear her.
Try.
Uh-oh. Hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay. Jasira is
Sorry.
helping Clyde.
Yeah, just
Roland is keeping an eye on them, and he'll, before we get anywhere close to a squish and more people ending up Clyded with their arms removed, he'll
Hey, I'm
move the
pretty
lever back.
sure it would just be one arm. I think the ghost arm would survive a smushing.
That's fair. You should just hang on with the ghost arm then.
No, just here, don't grab me by the ghost arm.
Yeah, so you,
I don't know if that'll go very well.
Roland, you crank the lever back as it begins to
No.
lower.
I'm watching if.
Oh, I thought
yeah.
he
if
cranks
people
up to
don't
go
get out.
faster.
Yeah, no. I'm letting this play out, but if we get close to a smush, then he'll crank the lever back down. If Jasira isn't able to get Clyde up.
Sure, Jasira, give me that athletics check here.
That came out wrong, didn't it?
A little bit.
It's fine.
I mean, he is an old man, so it's not on you, Jasira.
Athletics.
Ooh.
Boop.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
without much problem, Theschault and Jasira both kind of rush over to the edge and pull you up as you all are lifted through this, what appears to be like an arcane elevator. As you're pressed upwards, and it appears that the floor above you actually opens up, and what was a statue there kind of lifts up and raises as you are elevated into another cylindrical chamber. And this one has windows, and you can see out to the cliffside out beyond. You also see 2 staircases, both going down to your left, and multiple doors. You see about 4 different doors scattered around this chamber. But you are within some part of the building and structure, and it's illuminated here by those same mage torches.
So what we found was the opposite of the cronk lever.
Exactly.
Pulled the lever, and then instead of a pit opening up, it was the column.
That's why Clyde almost didn't make it. He didn't expect to go up.
Nobody expects the siren column mission.
All right. Well, we're not being currently attacked. Do we want to take a sit down for just a second, or are we going to keep going through some doors? I'm going to tell you, if we sit down for just a little bit, a couple of us here will be able to help out a whole lot more.
We can sit down if you need to.
Well, see, I don't like how you said need to. And I think I heard you call me old just a second ago. Clyde's gonna go sit down.
Yeah, you sit down on the floor, kind of near the edge of this chamber. For now, you feel unabated by anything. This place seems quiet.
Clyde's gonna open this flask. All empty.
Much sad. For the rest of you, are you guys doing anything in this chamber? Is everyone kind of sitting down here to take a rest?
If we're taking a rest, Jasira would love one.
I'm taking a rest, but only because I have to pout over not making my jump to the platform.
That's all right.
It's not all right.
Clyde's gonna be glaring holes into the Theschault helmet.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. If the world ended tomorrow with a meteor storm, the one spot that would be left is you tilted back in a chair having a beer before you got smashed. You are the luckiest man I've ever met. There is nothing that can destroy you.
So he makes the save. Bar eradicated. Damn.
I'm just saying, you would be the last person to get hit. You are the luckiest man alive.
I appreciate that. I'm also missing an arm. And like I told Roy, I'm pretty sure it's evil. I can kind of heal you, but I might kill you first, and that's kind of a problem.
Okay, look, if I was a betting man, which I am at many times, I would say that will come in handy at some point.
Absolutely. I'm gonna ruin someone's sleepless nights so much. It's gonna be great. You know how many people I have personal vendettas against because they wronged me and doing petty things? I got plans. 3. See? He knows. And then Clyde's just gonna bullshit back and forth with the Theschault for as long as possible.
Perfect.
Still trying to think not about the thing that's like 100 feet below us, glowing a malevolent blue color, and what might be coming for us.
What do you mean might be?
No, I don't want to hear it, Roland.
Don't need that negativity.
So you all are gonna take a short rest here? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
I would love to.
I'll
Yes,
keep
please.
watch since I'm at full power.
I'm sure Roland would love some more D8s to his investigation checks, just so he
Yes,
can
I
get
would.
above 30.
Roland, as you kind of look around while everyone is taking a rest, and do you see that this appears to be kind of a central location? And in fact, you see the signs that indicate different directions. These signs, though, are written strangely, and you've heard of Sire using a different written language. They're all still fluent in common, but they have their own dialect that they used, especially in established parts of their culture. And all of these signs are written in both of these languages. And you can see to the south, it kind of indicates...
Convenient.
To the south, it indicates the courtyard. To the southeast, storage. Straight east is the kitchen, and northeast is the mess hall. And to the west, you can see that one staircase that leads down leads to the loading dock, and then the other stairway that leads, actually, sorry, this one leads upwards, says to the dormitories.
All of the signs that are in both, he's going to be like taking notes on what each of the siren dialect words mean, just in case he runs into a sign that isn't in both.
All right. For the rest of you, if you want to go ahead and refresh your short rest abilities and roll any hit dice, you may. Theschault, do you want me to roll hit dice for you?
No, I can do it. I just got home, so give me a second to get on my computer.
No worries. Then I will just take care of it for Greystorm. Let's see. Oh.
Uh-oh. Nice, Clyde.
We'll go with that.
Oh, free.
It's okay. It's okay, I guess. Probably not worth rolling one more, so we'll just go 45 out of 49. It's not that bad.
Hey, roll one more. You might end up at 42 or 47 out of 49.
I know. But waste a whole hit dice on it? I don't know. What if we get into a real bad battle after this?
Then you're probably going to want those hit points instead of hit dice.
And we're good.
All right.
Are you sure?
Oh my
47 it is.
Oh my god.
Oh gosh.
I'm
That's
so
too
sorry.
good.
I'm so
Hey.
sorry.
If
That
I
was
roll the nat
beautiful.
ones now, it can't happen later, right?
I would like to personally confirm that is not the case.
Oh man.
All right. So as you all kind of sit here for a few moments, bandaging things up, kind of talking through the space, is there anything else that you would like to do before continuing to explore this citadel? All right. Then looking around again, you see the dormitories back down towards the loading dock, storage, the courtyard, and some of the mess halls and kitchen spaces, at least off of this central platform. Where would you like to head?
I would like to check out the living areas and see how suddenly and catastrophically this facility fell, or if it were evacuated.
I think Clyde would like to follow, looking for if it was catastrophically fallen. There's got to be stuff just everywhere.
Exactly. Like, if we find the people, we will find things and clues. But if we don't find any people, then it was probably evacuated, which means that they had time to take the good shit out.
Yeah, so Roland, you kind of begin to lead everyone up the stairs towards the dormitories. And as you kind of walk up the stairs, you immediately see a small chamber. There's a few tables with some cards kind of spread out, a few books, but things mostly look clean and put into place. There's a fireplace, so the fireplace is empty now. And you immediately see two smaller chambers. These both, as you kind of open up the space, look to be perhaps some sort of servants' quarters or guest quarters. There's a couple beds thrown in here and some basic storage, but they appear to be mostly unused or empty. No real signs in this one currently of anyone living in these spaces. But you see the stairs kind of continue further upwards to more of the dormitories, but there's also another door, this one labeled observation deck. You're welcome.
So there was actually a floor called observation deck.
Not a floor, but a space.
A deck. While Roland's debating this, Clyde is looking through the fireplace to see if anyone stashed anything in it, because Clyde always stashed stuff in fireplaces if he needed to.
Sure, give me an
Good to know.
investigation check.
You weren't afraid it would get the flu? You're welcome.
There we go.
Clyde, the fireplace itself seems fairly intact, and you don't see really any hidey holes or nestled things. But what you do see is scratched in the stone all over. Next to one of these tables, actually, it looks like they had been using them for their scratch work. And there's just dozens and dozens of little comments and magical runes and alchemical signatures and signs, all sorts of just scratch work all over these stones that's kind of carved in.
Hey, Roland, you see that all these stones are all fancy like. Also, Clyde's gonna take out a piece of charcoal, put a piece of paper up to someone can get some scrap, whatever that is, rub work,
Sure.
to get full copies of it.
Rub work.
I can't remember the Clyde's actually, that's the one Clyde's
Rub work.
familiar with.
Yeah.
A rubbing. That's what it's actually called when you spread paper out or something and then charcoal
Alright.
over it. You get a rubbing of.
I
the-
like
My brain was
I
like
like rub work.
30%. Like 30% there.
rub work.
But Clyde's gonna do that with some of these real fancy papers.
Yeah, sure thing.
I'd like to take a look at the stones and see if that, the decorations that Clyde is doing some rub work on are,
They are the rub
primarily-
work papers in my notes.
if they are primarily decorative or if there is actually function to them.
Yeah, instantly go ahead and roll me an Arcana check here, but instantly you know that these are not functional or decorative. They are thoughts that people are expressing.
This is the fireplace of discovery.
Roland, looking at this is the scratchwork of scientists who lived here and were having discussions, and rather than pulling out a chalkboard, they were just scratching their thoughts into this stone as they were talking about different things. And you see the various works that they were expressing. You see multiple pieces on the effects of botany to mitigate different types of ailments and diseases. There is lots of discussion on how to adjust different alchemical solutions on basically different types of medicines. There's also extensive discussions around different types of spell, arcane, and artifice that were either defense or weaponry that appeared to be research for war efforts. You see some discussions on different aspects that could likely be linked to warforged, different types of discussions on mechanical connections that resemble human joints. You see a lot on like how to simulate vocalization and actually get them to be able to express things and respond, and how to manipulate different enchantments to get that to sound less artificial. You also see multiple spaces where there are comments on celestial bodies and observations about star patterns and other sorts of almost kind of a blending of astrology and astronomy.
So basically, what if the Manhattan Project went wrong and we just stumbled into Los Alamos?
I mean, not terribly far off. It's definitely got that vibe of these are all really brilliant people working on some really intense projects, and this facility, it now makes more sense why it feels like it is a fortress.
Roland,
Always check the fireplace.
Roland is a kid in a candy shop. He's reading the notes until someone drags him out of there. Is there anything moon related?
Actually, Clyde would be super interested in that too.
Yeah.
There is a lot related to the moons.
Okay,
In fact,
that's what Clyde is going to be focusing most of his rub work on.
you find
I will be pointing stuff out to him. I'm like, ooh, get this one.
you find a lot of notes about the patterns and about the paths of different celestial bodies, and you see multiple of them kind of called out and referenced in different ways. You see some of them that are talking about Thelanis. You see some of them that are talking about Danvi or Kithri, Ithron, Fernia, all of these different moons that are different terms than you know for the moons. Clyde, you're familiar with these kind of different names. There are many things that the celestial bodies are called. Most commonly for everyone else, they kind of match the month that they're in, or they match one of the 12 months. But these seem to be more kind of scientific names for these spaces. And what you also find is multiple references to the orrery, about taking measurements or finding things or adjusting calculations, all referencing something called the orrery.
Alright, the orrery.
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 That's enough O's and U's.
I think there's an A in there at the beginning, though.
At the beginning, it depends how you pronounce it.
The orrery. Does it have anything to do with the Aurors?
Orrery, not
Okay.
AU.
So,
Never mind, so I was wrong.
so was I.
Orrery. Sorry.
Thank you so much. I'm sitting here like
There's only
struggling
one
still.
O. There's no way.
Yeah. I'll say as Roland and Greystorm and Clyde are kind of looking over this, for the others, Theschault, Bungo, Jasira, what are you guys doing in this space as you're kind of sitting, what appears to be in kind of a servants or guest quarters here?
I'll probably just look around and just, I guess, ponder a little bit to myself of, I guess if something similar happened to Karnath, honestly. I mean, I can only imagine, you know, the Academy days. One day, when the sun comes down, you're in the middle of doing this, the next thing, just everything is covered in this mist. Just...
Yeah, Theschault, it gives you a perspective of why the last war ended quite so quickly. Is that if something catastrophic happened, the world wanted to find out what it was. And that became the focus rather than squabbling over territory. And everyone came to a very quick compromise when they had something else to fear. But they never really figured out what the answer to it was. Because the Mournland was so all-encompassing, and because the mist was so dangerous, no one was able to travel into the Mournland for so long. And now, history has kind of forgotten that fear a little bit. And at least a significant portion of people haven't yet made it a high priority to travel into the Mournlands and to see all of this. And most of this is probably almost entirely untouched since this happened. After a few minutes of kind of capturing and classifying things down, Roland, you know that while these scratch notes have something and are worth jotting down, they're scratch notes. And this facility, there had to be somewhere where this work was happening, where the research was being captured, and that lights up the possibilities of what else could be here for you.
Yeah, no, he's just looking through these scratch notes and finding like notes in the margin of like, well, and of course, because of this principle, this must be true. He's like, what do you mean that principle?
And these are a shade of familiarity from back at Onatar's tower for you, but it is on a whole nother level. It is going from a collegiate study to the most advanced laboratory in the nation. These were incredibly intelligent people that were here.
Okay. I know you all are going to make fun of me for this, but We need to find the library.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense. You got enough rope?
There it is.
You hear the echoing as Clyde laughs in the chimney.
Are you doing rub work inside?
It's not in the fireplace. It's to the side of the wall.
That's what I'm
just in there.
I think that'd be good stuff in here still.
They're just like up inside the chimney writing their notes.
No, he's getting.
That's where all of the who likes who secrets are kept.
That's what
All right, Colonel Mustard.
Oh gosh. I saw Jess kissing Brad in the boys' bathroom.
Where Roland's like, "What is the formula?" God. Clyde's like, "Who is Jess?"
Oh man.
Okay. It's fun. The library. It's got to be more juicy gossip in there. I think I've run out of what's in the chimney.
All right. Well, right now you guys have back to the central location, or you have stairs up to more dormitories, or the door out to the observation deck. That are the three that you see.
Let's weekly scan the other dormitories.
Okay.
For signs of previous life.
Yeah, junk. Anyone leave anything under a pillow?
Kick open a footlocker or two.
Yeah, you all
check the fireplace.
Head up the staircase, and it's a simple wooden staircase. It creaks, but it mostly holds up. And you see another copy of the fireplace up here as well, and a door that extends to a long hallway. And as you kind of go down, just checking through the doors, examining the spaces, you see
we only had the RA's room.
You see a lot of these spaces. They're small and basic, but they have they're more like dresser setups and beds, and some of them are decorated with various kind of posters or pictures, some art, various things that looked like all much more lived in spaces, but they're very small. Roland, you come upon.
Do we find any pinups of Jess for Clyde?
Well, Clyde is checking the chimney, and I gotta say, Jess gets around. Good on them.
You definitely find some things of that upon investigation, but you also find a space that is for lack of a better term, a temple space or a holy space. It is a simple room with a large ornate rug and a large kind of central, almost like platform, where people would commonly pray to the sovereign host. It looks like a basic holy space to any and to all who might follow this religion. Just kind of a simple space for people to exhibit their faith. And still more rooms. There's probably about half a dozen different rooms. And then you finally get to the end of this hall, and there seems to be a little bit larger room kind of set aside. This one, as you open it up, you see a large ornate rug, you see a much nicer bed, a table that has kind of a book kind of spread out across it, has some different pieces across the desk, and you see a skeleton that is laid across, kind of stumbled across the bed and collapsed in front of, kind of hanging off the bed. Still seems to be in whatever clothes they were wearing here.
Well, we're gonna check that out, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. First off, is there a fireplace in here? I gotta see if Jess really got around.
No, there does not appear to be a fireplace in here. Just a few simple of those arcane lights still.
Ooh. When we leave, we might want to take those if they come out. Think they unscrew?
They seem to be easy enough to maneuver and adjust. In fact, Greystorm is kind of holding one and using it to shine through all of these areas.
Hey, Greystorm, Roland, one of you tall guys, can you hand me that? I can't reach it.
Yeah, Greystorm grabs one off for you, Clyde. Passes it down.
Great.
It seems to operate pretty similarly to like a torch or a lantern, but just doesn't require
Clyde's
any
gonna try
fuel.
and put it in his lantern that has a shade that goes up and down, so he can get that.
I like that.
See, you don't gotta have tools to jerry rig something.
As it falls back out.
Yeah. I gotta make this.
But yeah,
let's check out the body.
Roland and Clyde, you kind of come in here and take a quick look around as the others are still kind of wandering around these different rooms and spaces. And this seems like a much more elegant room. And you look over and see the journal and kind of flipping through it. This appears to be a journal of a noble, a someone from wealth, and even what appears to be kind of a merchant traveling to Starmantle Citadel for some purpose, and is kind of caught or cut off as he seems to pass upon kind of writing the things that he's experiencing. And he tries to kind of write down what he's feeling and barely makes it into a sentence before that ink is smudged across the page. The quill is kind of tossed on the desk and he's fallen back towards the bed.
At least it was quick. Well, if all dead, there's really only one thing you can do.
Clyde's already looting. Clyde, you went to check out, and Clyde has opened up a drawer to a desk. Get out of here.
But what's strange is that this is the only person you find in any of these rooms. All the others had been empty, still lived in, but lacking any sort of remnants of or trace of bodies. And Clyde, go ahead and roll me an investigation check as you look through the desk here.
I'll find something good.
Yeah. No.
Clyde,
Not a sock drawer.
Yeah, no.
Sock drawer. Hey, Clyde needs some new socks for if he needs to.
you find about
Making
200
In the sock drawer, you find the reason why Jess didn't get around this far.
Oh, why is it stuck?
Clyde, you find about 155 pieces of gold, a small dagger, a quill, some fancy paper in here, and you also find a small, it looks to be a basic bag. It's got some things of like for general cleanliness, kind of your travel case of your toothbrush, your daily care things, as well as some small
Big win.
Pendants, like a small little, not quite a locket, but a necklace, kind of an amulet, and then a small little portrait of what appears to be this individual and their family.
Clyde will give the amulet, like the trinket and the amulet to Roland, but Clyde's really digging this new personal hygiene kit. It's got all the fancy picks and combs. This guy really knows how to take care of himself.
This man is clearly better off than most of the people that would have been in this space, and you're not sure exactly what he was doing here or why, but this seems to be a guest quarters of some kind.
Also, Roland, you should probably open any other drawers. I just have a hunch that you'll do better about it.
I'll see Clyde very enamored with the hygiene kit, and after collecting the man's journal for future reading.
That's a good toothpick.
I'm gonna check like his pockets. I'm gonna check his fingers for any signet rings or other types of rings or anything like
Clyde's
that.
appreciation of the kit is going to give you a bardic inspiration.
And then I'll just, after I see that he's opened one drawer and is just enamored with that, I'm gonna go and open the other drawers in the desk and look around elsewhere in the room.
Give me an investigation check.
And then I'll roll that D8, is it?
D8? Yep.
Heck yeah.
So looking over the person himself, there's not too much on him. You find another 15 gold pieces and about 40 silver pieces in the pouch that he has on his waistband.
I'll grab the gold.
Find a really fancy dagger sheath that the dagger must go in, as well as you do find some sort of ring on it. It's got a symbol, but you don't recognize the symbol offhand. And kind of looking over the rest of the room and the desk is pretty simple. It only has a couple of drawers, and so there doesn't seem to be too much that is there. But you kind of look across the desk and you find that there is a secret compartment that you pop open, and within there you find 200 platinum pieces and a note of purchase or note of sale. And it's for some sort of some strange material that they are calling Bieshk, and I'll put that in as well.
The Mind Flayer metal.
Yeah, you think back and it does ring a bell as something you had heard Boko talk about before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Adam, you had a little.
Don't worry, I got it.
I'll pocket the platinum and the note. And the gold, and just kind of scatter the rest of the coins on the desk.
Oh no, those are already because Clyde's trying to fund his next trip into Kobold or go home.
And
More Gamba.
I'll take the fancy dagger sheath. That looks cool, and just kind of like hold it out and see whether Clyde is going to grab the sheath or put the dagger in it for me to keep.
He waits for you to go on.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Sorry, I took way too big of a bite right when you asked me thinking I could respond to.
I could have, I missed my calling in life. I should have been a waiter. I have a talent for talking to people right as they take a massive bite. So I will add one dagger with fancy sheath to my.
Theschault and Rennie, the two of you kind of wander with Greystorm beyond the room out. The hallway opens up to a small little. It's not so much a patio, it's a little bit larger than that, but a space outside, and you kind of look over the edge here, and it's down towards a sheer cliffside. You are hundreds of feet up upon what almost looks like a mountaintop here, and you have this view over this misty landscape that is just kind of palpable. You can see the various changes that have happened in the environment and atmosphere here, and it is so strange and foreign that whoever was here before must have looked over these hills and seen gorgeous fields and a beautiful city that doesn't appear to be too far away, or town at least, but nestled up here in these mountains now, it is just a open wasteland.
That's rather eerie, if not still beautiful in its own right.
I'd have to agree. On the one hand, the view is certainly something to behold, but on the other, well, just thinking about all the widespread destruction that all of this caused.
You're not prone to vertigo, are you, my friend? You're not prone to vertigo?
No, I've been launched several feet in the air by a contraption exploding before. What about you?
I'm not a huge fan of heights, actually.
Oh.
Come to think of it, I'm not a huge fan of most of the scary things.
Completely fair. Well, you'll probably want to stay a little further from the edge, and if you want me to kind of walk next to you, I mean, I certainly don't have a problem with that. If it helps you out, at least.
I don't know. The last couple people who got next to you ended up thrown off an edge.
Shut up, Roland from beyond.
The echoes in your head.
You've done a fantastic job of watching my back. I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. This place is not for me.
No, it's not necessarily for me either, but I feel like it's definitely a learning experience that all of us could use. Not that it's pretty, you know, the experience of learning about a lot of these tragedies, but I like to think we're doing good things.
I wouldn't put a summer home here, but the trees really are quite lovely.
It might make for a good story one day that somebody were to write this all down.
Oh, I think that would be a good notion. Always good to have stories interlaced with different academia books within a library.
If somebody were to tell a story about you, how would you want to be known?
Me? I guess, well, obviously the highest grandeur would be that my technology, ends up catching a lot of windfall back in Karnath, and eventually everybody is able to use steam power to the highest extent, and then hopefully the city doesn't have to fight for anything anymore. We can avoid things such as, well, ugly wars that beget places like this. But I think ultimately, after a bit of this journey, maybe all I'd want to be remembered for is, well, being a protector, or at least I'd like to ensure that that was the case.
That makes sense. That sounds good. Theschault the Protector.
Yeah. Well, what about you? I mean, clearly you had your own reasons for sticking around.
I still feel like I kind of owe Clyde. That he came through when I needed it most.
Really?
Well, this is going to sound rather foolish, but I got a little bit inebriated. I sat on my accordion. I was a very, very sad man, and Clyde ended up really, really coming through for me. That he saved me, and as such, I feel like I'm still somehow called to save him.
He does tend to do that, despite his objections. There's so many different ways to save people that isn't always jumping in the way of something that's flying at them fast.
I'm glad for that, because I'm not too big and I'm not too good at catching things that fly fast.
Oh, perhaps you personally aren't, but I mean, you make up for that with your powers.
I do wish I knew how to use them better.
I'll tell you this.
Confuse me.
I'll tell you this from an inventor's perspective. It's all kind of a matter of time, and sometimes just having to go back to the drawing board and see kind of where you started from.
There's some wisdom in that. I would love to go back home and just visit. I bet there's a whole host of things that I didn't know that I didn't know.
I might stand to do the same, truth be told. I think there's things at the Academy that I perhaps need to look at from a different angle now that I've seen some of these things on the outside.
There's always going to be more to know. That you can walk through the same woods every day for 100 years and still be surprised every day you walk through the woods.
That's a good way of thinking about it.
Or I guess I suppose you could walk through the creepy mists on the mountain. But that doesn't really have the same ring to it.
I personally think that once we leave this place, I don't plan to come back.
I can't wait to go over the Misty Mountain.
I agree.
I I'm not sure I'm a very big fan of this place.
That's all right. We'll make it out of here together.
And with all the creepy things that we keep coming across that are older than the creepy mist, I'm not sure I would have been a huge fan of this place before the mist happened either.
Those things lost their time. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what this place used to be like as well. Perhaps not in a strange visionary setting.
It's been a cool experience to have once, though.
Agreed.
Best place you never want to go again.
Yes, indeed.
As you all finish exploring the dormitories, this level here seems to be fairly isolated to give those a bit of privacy when they need it. Making your way back down to the lower kind of servants' quarters, you all find yourself back in the similar spaces. Wandering around, you find the mess halls and the kitchen all seem to be open, unused, or not unused, but no sign of any individuals, no sign of any remains. Eventually, wandering through these spaces, you come out to the courtyard and observation deck. And you see just a host of skeletal corpses. This space, it almost looks like there was some sort of gathering or event. Probably 2 or 3 dozen different individuals, and you look to see not only full-sized skeletons, but those of a smaller stature as well. And there is a massive pile of them that are rushing, fallen near the gates. Others have fallen together or in small pods, some laying up against the wall. All of it just a open scene of the last moments these individuals had. Up above them, there does seem to be a stone walkway that wraps around this courtyard and has a few points that look far out above or far out into the distance and are separated from the massive construct and towers that still rise above for whatever this large telescope's purpose is. And this observation deck looks out across the town far below, looks out across what were once fields. And you do see that there are more strange runes written into these spots, these particular places where people must have utilized some sort of magic for some purposes here. And the place is eerie, empty, and quiet. But this is where everyone must have been when it happened, or where they had run to.
So, this is around the edge, looking out is where those runes are, where magic would be used?
Yeah, there's 2 particular spots on either corner of this kind of large, almost think of like a castle wall, where there are these 2 like turrets, and there are these circular runic circles, or runic circles with concentric circles, and different shapes and symbols inside of them, that looks like some sort of sigil, or multiple sigils that were used for some sort of magic from these positions.
So I'm going to go stand in the sigils. And since we're on the observation deck, I'm going to try and activate the magic inherent in my eye to see if I can activate whatever magic is in the sigils to use the observation deck to see.
Give me an Arcana check.
I think this is the first time that I've done a intentional activation of the eye as opposed to using a passive benefit, so...
And is there an active benefit with that?
I don't know.
Or just... Okay. I think I would have put it in if there was, but let me check.
I hadn't used it, so... Actually, I don't have a card on it, I don't think.
You should. Should be the Foresight patch, right? That's the one you're talking about?
No, not the Foresight patch, the blue eye, the lightning eye.
Oh, I see what you're talking about now. Okay. The eye itself doesn't seem to have any natural activation with these runes.
Okay.
Looking around them, you do notice pieces, and with those scribblings, those writings, these must have been used to help people see, to help people observe what is around, not only naturally, but also utilizing illusions to recreate what was far and beyond. Looking from here now, you see that much of this is heavily obscured by the mist, and there is that thick barrier that likely blocks out what they would have been looking at more often than not above in the various celestial bodies. But the rock side, the fields below, the desecrated town, is there any part there in particular that draws your attention?
Hang on. I feel like I have a... No, that was a different character. No, I still feel like I have a thing. No, that was a different character. Okay. Since I've got a more elevated stance in a place that is designed to be able to see better, I'd like to map out as much as I can from above to help us when we're navigating below.
Yeah, which portion are you looking at? Are you looking at like the path that you traversed to get here? Are you looking at the town in the opposite direction? Are you trying to look at
the town?
Okay.
The town and the citadel. As much as I can see of those two.
The citadel, it's difficult to see much because you're looking from the citadel, but at least the town far below, as you examine it, you actually watch as some of the runes around you begin to light up, and you see your vision is... You're almost brought closer, or the town is brought closer to you, and you can see it from a much more higher magnification than your eyes normally would. It's like looking through your arcane sight. And as you're looking, as you're observing, as you're kind of moving this vision around, you find that you have more intense control. And Clyde, you're kind of standing by him. You watch as beside him, there's actually a illusory model that is being built of each portion that he looks at as he looks at it. And so it's this kind of three-dimensional model that is being built as he's observing the space, as he's looking at it and tracking different spaces. And it's incredible that this is complicated, intense magic that seems to be just something that everyone had free access to if they could utilize it. Or at least everyone within the facility.
That there seems real handy.
It does. Then after doing that, I will swing back around and take a look at where we came from, see if anyone's tracking us, and if there's anything we missed along the way, I guess.
Roland, I really hate to be that guy, but there's a lot of skeletons with stuff in this room still.
Just 5 more minutes.
All right.
Yeah, I'll try and like. Now that I see what's going on with the 3D model being built and with having my vision enhanced, I want to map as much as I can.
Yeah.
From this vantage point.
And you look back and you see at least the pass that you can, the two kind of main environmental hazards, for lack of a better term, that you pass through. You see the various canyons, and you can now see all of the spidery networks that you could have passed through, all the ways they intersect and cross. And it really is this pattern of valleys and canyons to move through. But what you avoided, you look out and you see this open field, and you can actually see and examine these ghostly, spectral, you don't know if they're warriors or raiders or whatever, but these entities that are just hovering and crossing across this field. And just, it would be incredibly difficult to pass without their notice, and you feel very happy that you took the path that you did. And if you had been ambushed on that field by the warforged, it probably would have been, you might have seen them earlier, but it probably would have been a much more difficult fight, in a fight where you already lost someone. And you kind of watch and observe this space, and Clyde's still watching. Each of these spaces is not only built in the environment that is there, but as he sees these different specters, they pass into the illusion as well, moving almost in real time. There's a slight delay, and it's kind of it's almost these different snapshots as it moves. It's not fluid, but it is incredible what this magic is able to reproduce.
Okay. Well, then I'll turn back to Boko and say, just messing with you, Solar.
You bitch.
It's like he's still with us.
It's almost like we can hear him.
I'll turn back to Clyde and say, all right. What are you... No.
Someone's gonna. It might as well be us. At least we can be respectful about it. They're already dead.
But that should be And he'll look at just the carnal house below him. That should be respected.
Roland, you look down and you see two skeletons right below the observation deck. They're kind of huddled together. You can see they were in some sort of embrace as they had fallen in these last few moments.
That's a lot of burying we're gonna have to do.
I could help with that if you want.
Do we want to do with them? Do we want to do with them like we gonna do with Boko and take them out of this place?
Did we actually collect all of Boko?
Yeah, he's in the bag.
Yeah. He's in the bag.
Okay.
Look,
He's in the
Clyde
bag
Major.
holding.
Yes. Going to bury Boko not in this place, even though fine. And then when Boko comes back, we'll be like, "Hey, here's your old body."
Notably,
Why would I want that?
Yep.
Better
Yeah.
pick up my Jasira.
Do we have Bo and Co?
Yep. I got the top and bottom half. I lost a few of the middle bits though.
You
Ooh.
didn't need those.
Just a few vertebrae. It'll just be a little shorter.
Yeah, I would like to go down and I'll start sorting through the skeletons, getting them into a respectful resting position, especially the ones that were more chaotic. The ones who passed in the arms of their family, I think I would like to leave in that position. But the ones who are chaotically trying to scramble for the exit, I'd like to get to a more gentle resting spot. And then with Bungo's help, encase them all.
Yeah.
Austin, how big is this
with
space?
Clyde's help, relieve them of artifacts that they cannot take with them.
If it makes you
See,
feel any
Jasira
better,
can help Clyde
this
with
is
that
much
one.
more respectful than what the Black Company did. So,
Jasira and Clyde, if you guys want to roll investigation checks. In the meantime, for Bungo, this whole courtyard is about a 40-foot square, so 40 foot per side of this square, to get kind of the main courtyard spaces if you want to move everyone there. For some of the highest concentration of people is in about a 10-foot square right by the gate, where Roland, you're kind of untangling these bodies, and they had just been climbing, scrambling, pressing each other to try and get away in just this mass hysteria.
Yeah.
So Bungo is going to go towards the gate, and he's going to use his natural domain to lay out in front of the biggest concentration, and a bunch of little roots.
I'm pulling them out of the concentration and laying them out on the ground.
And as you do that, Bungo does his natural domain. A bunch of little roots come up from the ground and start pulling them into an organized, nice, neat lines, using the move object, move creature abilities on that.
Yeah, so Roland, you kind of pull the skeletons out as best you can, but it's difficult, and the bones are old, and what's left of them is not well held together.
Come here. Olna comes up. Shit.
And Bungo just kind of steps forward, and you see as his eyes kind of give this gentle glow as he reaches his magic into the ground. And it kind of surges out into his own patterns, these like tectonic ley lines that stretch out among all of these bodies, and these roots grow and begin to pull and maneuver them and kind of cover them in these small little graves that are arranged, and this courtyard becomes its own kind of cemetery of a kind. In the meantime, looking through the others, Jasira, for you, it is unnatural. You've seen death and you're familiar with death, but this is, you can feel the terror. This is the same as those kind of uncovering people who were killed by a volcanic eruption. Their bodies are preserved in the horror of the moment, and it's not only adults but families, children, and you just can't bring yourself to look at it. Clyde, you've seen some of the darker horrors of the world in a more brutal sense, and you've also been on plenty of expeditions into the Mournland where you have seen scenes very similar to this.
Yep.
You look across the bodies, and there's not much on these individuals. Most of them are in normal or relatively normal garb. You don't really even find any coins. It looks like these people were having some sort of celebration or event here. Everyone was gathered for something, and they don't have much beyond their own personal belongings. Some keys to their rooms or some pencils for their notes, things like that, but nothing much of value here. And it kind of puts things again into the perspective of what kind of place this was. These people were not soldiers, they were not conquerors, they were scientists and families of those scientists who were gathered for this. However, as you're moving towards what looks to be a small stable, you find not any horse skeletons In fact, a horse making it up to this high on the mountain would be quite difficult. However, you do find one individual next to a horse-sized skeleton, but one that has long tail bones and these large wing bones that are kind of wrapped around the individual. This looks like a horse-sized dragon skeleton.
Wow.
Oh, well. Well,
With the wing.
yeah. Clyde, first thing, that's real sad. Gonna make a lot of
Real
money, though. That one's going in the bag.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
you pull a few pieces that you know to be valuable. Even on a small creature such as this, dragons are extremely rare and legendary at this point in Corvair. And so you know, kind of pulling on some of the teeth, the claws, the wing bones, the horns, what you can grab.
Our little thrift store needs a dragon skull above the counter. It's a little dragon skull.
Yes, it does.
But yeah,
Do
you
it.
quickly grab what you can.
Well, you don't need to convince Clyde. Clyde has less problems looting some of the ancient dead like this. He's had to get over that at one point long ago.
And over the next few minutes, Bungo has completed kind of the natural cemetery out in the courtyard, and you'll have done what you could to clean up the remains of this space. Most of the building you've seen has been explored, and yet you still see multiple floors that rise above.
Well, I'm really hoping all the sad stuff's down here.
Roland is still kind of locked in place, looking out at the scene, with his coat thrown open a bit and his hand on the hilt of a short sword that, Clyde, you've only ever seen him draw once.
The whole country in one night. It is a horrifying thing, isn't it? And when Roland doesn't say anything, Clyde will walk away. Give Roland some time.
No, you can...
You're good. We don't gotta talk about this now.
The country
This?
doesn't bother me. Country's full. Families shouldn't.
Country's just a bunch of families. That's what makes it all so very sad.
Not for me. I've done this. Over there.
Clyde will look where he's pointing.
The family that's clutched together over trying to protect a child. I've done that.
We'll drink later, Roland. This type of place isn't the place to dwell on such dark thoughts.
This is exactly the place to dwell on such dark thoughts.
Nah, this place might make them real.
And with that, he'll turn and walk out.
Trying to get some space from this scene, even after bringing some bits of peace to it, you all head for the doors back towards where this arcane elevator had been, kind of operating as this central hub. You all had seen, explored most of the places in this space, hoping to find something with a bit less darkness. It appears most of the individuals in this space were here. You still see 3 other gemstone marked floors available on this lift.
I'd make sure he's close enough this time.
Thankfully, in this one, it is the whole room.
I was really hoping you were going to say this one, the pit trap opened up. All right, are we going up? The whole room.
Yeah, we're in the elevator. I'll pull it to the, what's next, the yellow gem?
Yeah, I think I accidentally skipped over one. So you had pulled it to the green. The green took you essentially to the floor where you had fought the constructs. This one was the yellow, and so the next one is actually orange.
Oh, okay.
My
I'll pull it to the
apologies.
orange one.
And once again, as the mechanisms click into place and you all begin to lift upwards, you see a similar circular chamber that you arrive in. This one with a singular door, and kind of stepping out and through it, you see an area that is large and grandiose, but in massive disarray. Things kind of scattered in different directions, and the ominous glow of the outside pulling in through shaded stained glass windows. This space was once elegant and beautiful, with large staircases and elegant walkways. Now it seems empty and desolate. You do see a few spaces where there are some projects that had been worked on, these large mechanical constructs that look almost like giant suits or giant robots. They have arms and legs, though their legs are more quadrupedal. They seem like basic ideas rather than complete products. You see boards with chalk markings of various things scattered across, and your eyes alight onto the signs, one for the Grand Library and the other for the Clock Tower.
Yes!
Well, I think we should I don't think Roland wants to go to that library.
That's your cake hole.
Hey, if you got cake, all I got here is rations.
The library is likely the place where we will find all of the research into what they had found on various diseases. That is where we are, where this quest is leading us.
Library.
Yeah, but that side says clock tower.
If you want to go look at the clock, be my guest.
I definitely might if you and Roland here get too deep into some of these books.
Fair enough.
You all step along the walkway to this grand library, as it is called, and At one point, it was likely quite beautiful, but now it still has that quiet, sad look over it. The light that comes in through what were once large windows that would have let in beautiful daylight is dim, shadowy blue-gray. These massive metal chandeliers that would have been gorgeous, providing elegant candlelight across all of these platforms and tables to read tomes, are now empty and put out. Only a few mage torches illuminate this area, but you see shelves and shelves of books and tomes, ladders that reach up to rise to the tallest of the shelves, and multiple layers where all of these things have been placed. And also scattered throughout this chamber are multiple different, almost dictionaries to find where these various tomes are cataloged and kept. And immediately Greystorm moves over to one, Roland rushes over to another, and many of the rest of you are just astounded by this place that seems caught in time. Everything here seems fragile and damaged. The tables are old and creak. Many of the books are breaking or broken. The ones that have pages out are already half scattered by time and wind and decay. Everything here is careful. And Greystorm kind of calls out to you all, please do not touch much unless you know what you are looking for. Again, we will come back to this place in time and be sure to properly preserve as much as we can. Today we are only looking for the research notes upon disease, specifically what they had referred to as the clean rot.
Let's get started.
Well, I was just going to look for the trashy romance novels, so I think I'm going to go back and look at the clock tower.
Does that inspire me by any chance?
Absolutely. And hopefully you find a trashy romance novel. Like, if you pull out a scientific book and it's just the bindings inside.
The lusty Argonian maid.
Yep, exactly.
Husk love.
Oh, goodness.
I will step a safe distance away in case the spell animates, but and cast guidance on myself with that and then get to work.
Okay.
What's going to help you while it kills you?
Roland, what is that book you're reading? My Fleshlight and Me?
Steam powered? I think Theschault will want to read this.
Oh, whoa.
The Fleshlight 2.0.
How the hell am I catching strays from over here?
Steam
Clyde
for your
remembers
pleasure.
you letting him not coming to save him on that platform.
For your pleasure. Steamed hams.
Oh gosh. Roland, give me a d20. Let's see if we get a monster in here.
No.
Oh, monster in here just destroying books.
Close.
Wow.
Close. All right. Roland, you can give me a investigation check at advantage with the guidance and the inspiration from Clyde. In the
All right.
meantime, yeah.
Sorry, can Bungo search as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Is there something different that you're searching for, Bungo?
Nope, just well, I guess if
Whatever Roland tells me.
never mind, ignore me.
I will tell you to go look for a book that doesn't exist.
Oh my gosh. I'll say that that the advantage here is provided just you, Roland, and Greystorm all kind of looking together through the shelves. In the meantime, Clyde and anyone else who is interested kind of goes across the walkway to the what should be the clock tower. And as you come into this tower, instead it looks like the destruction had made its way here. And what was once a gorgeous clock tower is now broken in. Some of the stone and scaffolding kind of fallen over. You still hear those various mechanics behind kind of whirring and clicking into places. The various pieces are still attempting to move, still attempting to kind of operate.
Theschault, did you happen to follow me? Because I don't think I want to fiddle with this. I might lose the other hand.
Well, I think we're all kind of together, right? So, like,
we definitely left the nerds back there. And Clyde says that just loud enough that hopefully it echoes down the road.
I'm the Academy published one, and somehow Roland is. Anyways, yeah, no, so I'll come down.
The difference between a nerd and a visionary is charisma.
But if so permitted, I would like to take a closer look at this.
Sure, give me an investigation check.
All right. Cool little mechanics. Find out if it's got something interesting going on.
Hey.
That's close.
Clyde, or Theschault, this chamber housing this clockwork mechanism is absolutely immense, and it's got this domed ceiling that is just lost in shadow at its maximum height. And in the heart of the machine, there is these complex gears, but you can actually see beyond it a glowing orb that is kind of suspended in midair by these magnetic fields that it kind of pulses erratically with energy. And there is just that network of interlocking wheels and spinning gears and conveyor belts that stretch across like a giant mechanical spider web. You know that whatever this is, it seems to be connected. And you actually look at the clock, and the clock itself is not only just able to tell time, in fact, it looks more complex, able to look at dates, weather patterns. There's something more to this mechanism, and it seems to stretch above to whatever is at the highest level of this tower with the telescope.
Huh. Well, Clyde, it seems like this thing does quite a bit. And apparently is connected to whatever is on the higher floors.
Well, should we investigate what's up top before we try and do any, like, fiddling with... I don't even know if you want to fiddle with this. This might be like the thing downstairs that's kind of too much.
It does seem like it would be a bit
But also,
risky.
Theschault, with this check, I will say you notice that the damage to the building should have made this inoperable. This has already been fixed in some way.
Uh-oh.
Oh. So, yeah, to go to Clyde, what's more worrying is the fact that it's still functional, or is again, after everything that seems to have happened around here.
So it's supposed to be even more broke than it is. I got you. That ain't good.
There might be a mechanic somewhere around here. Or at least one that knows enough about this.
Well, so far everything we've met here has been just about awful, so I'm not holding out hope for this mechanic.
Well, I suppose let us hope that they are not as awful then.
Theschault, you see to the side a small, what appears to be a control panel of some kind. It has a series of dials, buttons, and levers that you're very familiar with from your own inventions and similar things. That it seems to correspond to some sort of connection with this clockwork mechanism. And you look over the dials, and part of it is written and kind of in this siren shorthand, but it also seems to be utilizing various pictographs. And you can see where there are dials to adjust the date range. There are dials to kind of search for different weather patterns, different types of pieces where these things might align. And you can see where they're actually connected to arcane mechanisms, probably somewhere else in the tower, that take in different environmental readings. And the clock itself looks to have these kind of mechanical different like sun faces or cloud faces, and all of them have shifted and adjusted to just this thick, ever-present cloudy surface that you believe kind of represents the mist that you're within.
Interesting. I would describe all that to Clyde, just it seems to be almost like some sort of master analysis system of some kind. With all these controls, and I assume that there's, you had said reading through each one of these seems to be all just countless amounts of like different, probably metrics and whatnot from either this building or the surrounding area.
Yeah, it looks like. Go ahead and give me another investigation or arcana check here.
Sure.
You got any dials or doohickeys up there that mean anything?
Let's take a look-see here.
Yeah, so this seems to be a way of ascertaining date, time, environment. It's looking at all of these different aspects of not only just the present, but past, future projections, trying to basically act as your fancy weatherman that can be able to tell all sorts of different effects and when they might be coming. With a place that prides itself on observation, it would need to know when cloud patterns were there, when rain or sleet were coming, so that it could find the best times for observation and project when the best times for viewing would be.
Hey, could you try and figure this out? I think I could make some really good moonshine if I use some of what this information had.
Clyde, this thing is used as a divination tool. At least it seems like it for the most part.
Yeah, the same thing.
Not a distillation, divination.
It's just a couple letters.
Hakuna
Anyways, this thing seems to give a lot of different data about, well, pretty much everything that these folks would need to know. I have a feeling that I'm sure Greystorm wouldn't mind taking a look at this as well. As eyes, he's around, right? He's in here.
Yeah,
he's probably
he
just
would be in the library.
No.
but-
He's one of the nerds.
Yeah.
Ah, right. Well, we'll need to at least mention this to him later. I'd like for him to get a feel for this. In the meantime, though, it's a shame that this is actually working. Funny as it may seem to sound. I had it right the first
I
time.
understand it's a big clock. You're a little in awe. It's fine.
No, it's just a matter of we could have ascertained when this place broke apart. If this was broken, it's a clock.
Who isn't in awe when they see such a massive clock?
Shut up out of the frame, Roland.
See, Roland gets it, even for being a nerd.
Dick jokes transcend even scenes.
I suppose what I'm wondering is there anything that we could get immediately that would be particularly helpful?
I mean, to be fair, Solaire is also very good with his hands.
I don't know. I ran out of papers to do like rub jobs on it, so.
Do what?
I think Roland Call said they were rubbings, but I've been calling rub jobs for a while.
That's not alright.
Theschault, can you give me an intelligence check? Just a
Yes.
flat intelligence.
Alright.
See, listening to Clyde lower.
I'll
Save.
No. I'm simultaneously wanting to mess with them and also not because I don't know.
Oh, I want.
Oh boy.
Theschault and Clyde are about to go back in time.
So, no, I'm kind of curious.
Inspiration. hey, does Theschault have inspiration?
I do, but this doesn't seem like it would be as interesting to use it with, so I'm holding on to it for now.
Yeah, thinking back, if this clock had been stopped on the day of mourning, you know when the mourning happened. Like, you know the day that it occurred.
Right.
That's not information that you would need. That's information that you already have.
I was mostly curious as to whether it could have then, well, at least survived for a little bit, but... Well, Clyde, I mean, unless you do plan to somehow turn this into a distillery tool, I don't really know.
mean, I'm all game for it. It's a little big, though.
Clyde, do you want to try and utilize it to see when the weather patterns would be clear?
Yes.
Give me
I'll help him out.
Sure, if one of you guys wants to give me a Tinker's Tool or an Arcana check at advantage.
Do you want to do me or you?
Clyde has asked Theschault for help in this particular thing.
Perfect. I can just use Tinker's tools then. You said an advantage or with extra proficiency?
Yeah, advantage.
Okay, advantage. Let's do Tinker's tools.
And you can have an inspiration. Because Clyde really, he's like, I think of all the different types of moonshine, it might be able to blind both your eyes at the same time.
And then what's that, D8?
Steam
That's
power
D8.
out of it.
22?
All right, so Theschault, you move over to this control panel and begin to adjust it. And as you play with the settings, the clockwork adjusts it and shifts. And you actually see that there is now suddenly the floor below is actually a similar mechanism. And as you adjust the panels, you actually see as there's that illusory image, but on a much grander scale of this town, this citadel, Star Mantle, and you can actually see the mist kind of surrounding and encompassing it. And you kind of scroll through 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 5 days, 10 days, and that mist still seems to be present in that heavy above.
Until the 12th of never.
What's the forecast, Theschault?
Misty. As it seems.
I don't think this thing is all that useful right now, then.
That's my problem, is that I feel like whoever fixed it should have had a use for it then.
Tomorrow is muggy.
We got another floor, and he said it's connected to something above. And
That's true.
Something below.
Well.
So maybe after those fellas over there get done with their books, we can go look up there and see if this actually does anything.
But, well, yes. Whoever fixed this had to have had a reason for it. There had to have been at least one piece of this thing that they're
don't tell
utilizing.
me they had to have a reason. I know plenty of people that do stuff for no reason.
No, but why bother fixing such a large contraption if you didn't have something to do with it?
Time.
Okay, yes, it's a...
I once knew a dude that spent 3 years polishing a turd to the correct consistency and glare as to blind another man.
Really?
Yeah, it was my Uncle Jimmy.
Also, though, what's the forecast? Tomorrow is muggy, followed by Toogie, Weggy, Thurgy, Flaggy, and Stabby.
God, there's only prediction tools on here. The weather one's not good. The time we kind of already know the time. I mean, I guess we would just from looking at it.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
I know, which is why it's like this fact that it's not broken. Oh man, I feel like there's something on here, and I know there's a ton of different things you can grab from, but I know there's got to be something this guy's using. Maybe we do wait till we go upstairs.
I mean, it might just be a fancy big old clock.
What's the worst?
I'm sorry, I heard what's the worst, and then you cut off?
He's at the edge of his range, probably.
I'm very worried.
I'll leave you with that.
Okay. I took him out. Confidential information.
What's the worst redacted?
We go back, Roland's gone. What did he know?
Oh man. Could I use inspiration to try and ascertain what in the world somebody could want this for?
Sure, give me another intelligence check.
Sure. Let's find out. This is a much more interesting use.
Ooh, I like it.
Hey.
Theschault, looking at these dials, you know that it doesn't only just show environment and time data. Seeing this illusion of the Citadel, it shows spatial data. Spatial data that might not be locally limited.
Might not be locally limited.
Hey, Roland down there had like a pop-up map when he looked at things. Maybe you can do that here.
Wait, can I turn it back to today and try and check out what the spatial feature is, just to take a look at it initially?
Yeah, you shift it back in time to today, and that mist kind of still resides. You still see the town nearby that you saw. You see the citadel.
Can I move the apparatus at all?
What do you mean move
zoom
the
in,
apparatus?
Can I like move it off of just the town and the citadel? Like, can I like scoot it around like an all?
You adjust it, and it's not so much a pan, but it's like a zoom, and you scroll out and you see it expand out over kind of the township. You see it shift out over much of Sire. You see it expand over Corvair. You get kind of this zoom out of the continent, the country, the area.
Of all of Corvair?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
I'm going accounted for the lost seeing stones. We do not know who else might be watching.
And you see the Mournland covering all of Sire in the center where you are.
Right, but the fact that I can see out, I'm gonna turn it 1 day forward.
Turn it 1 day forward, and you can see only large weather patterns at this point that kind of shift and move around. You see the kind of cloud patterns. You see something kind of a heat wave up in the far northwest.
It's that demonic portal we forgot about.
I'm gonna put it 1 week forward.
You shift it around again. The clouds kind of maneuver. You see that central mist that kind of occupies the center of the map, and for the most part, the weather patterns stay pretty similar. Nothing erratic or jumping out to your mind.
I would like to move it 3 months forward.
Okay, you shift it 3 months forward. The weather patterns kind of shift as the months turn colder, and you see that weather reflected as it shifts from kind of the summer months into fall and into the early months of winter.
Clyde, do you think that this thing can actually see the future?
No, but it might make a pretty good effort at predicting it. All them gears and doohickeys.
But does this not at least prove that, well, or perhaps serve as some sort of indicator of any sort of massive, well, decimation of the continent? Is this not information that would be perhaps, well, maybe dangerous is too light of a word for it?
Theschault, that statement sticks in your head, and this moment comes across, and instead of moving it forward, you shift it back and begin to skim months, years, shifting it all the way back to the 20th of Olaroon at the end of the last war.
And right,
and you
when everything begins,
see Sire without the mist, without the Mournland, and you tick it over minute by minute by minute, slowly passing the hours, and you watch as the mist emits far in what looks to be the northwest of the country, and emanates out and spreads to the borders. Spreads across the edge of Sire.
Let me back it up and play it one more time, but can I zoom it into specifically just Sire?
Now kind of understanding at least some of the things that you can do to observe. And I will shift it back to this for you all. As you adjust the map of Corvair to this central space of the Mournland, you see how it is now, kind of shifting back, rewinding, pressing backwards in time. You watch as the mist kind of quickly disappears, and finding exactly the moment where this apocalyptic event occurred. and you look across and you see the city of Metro, the capital city. You see to the south the city of Making, where most people believed the large industrial sized manufacturing of warforged occurred, now covered in this large plateau of gemstone like shards. And you see far to the northwest this town of Eston that is completely ruined already from the effects of the war. And when that mist begins to spread, most people, there were rumors of it coming from Carlacton, from the metropolis. There were rumors of it coming from Making and all that was happening with the warforged. Instead, it's coming from the capital city of Metro when it begins to emerge and spread.
It was deployed from within this area?
It was deployed from within the country.
Wait, but why would they destroy their own people?
Someone had daddy issues.
Oh. As we found out from that, yeah. No, you're right. But just thinking of this, because I mean, clearly this, this kind of knowledge isn't stuff that we actually, is commonplace, especially even the academy.
Light might know it.
Seeing this and
Light
being able
might
to
know
know.
There are all sorts of rumors about where
stories that
the
because it
Mournland
happened in,
came
like, a
from.
day.
No one to Clyde's knowledge knows
That's for sure.
of a source spot.
Yeah, because everyone in the country died.
But we do, or the two of us,
No.
and probably the
Whoever fixed this might.
yeah, the two of us and the mechanic are the only three people that we know of that know this vision. We need to find the mechanic and hope that he's not like the rest of the guys we've run into.
He's gonna be worse.
Stop
Being simulacrum.
being cynical isn't going to help, Clyde, but I will have everything
I'm
loaded
being
just in case.
optimistic.
Luckily, I recharged my canister. I really need to fix that second one when we get the chance.
Meanwhile, back within the library, it's probably been a couple hours at this point. Bungo, Roland, and Greystorm have kind of been heading the search. And Greystorm is frustrated. You all have been able to locate the section on all of the notes of disease research. And there is notably a section missing. You've looked on all of the desks. You've looked on all of the study areas. You've even looked at some of the destroyed material and believe that it's not here. You at least feel confident in that it likely is not one of the destroyed books lying around. I don't.
35. You're confident it isn't here.
I'm not quite sure what to say. This tome, I don't believe that they would have traveled outside of this place with them, not without copies. And the state of these books, we know that it could not have gotten far. Roland, you've been looking through these tomes, looking through this. It's more evidence that the people who were here, what they were doing was trying to help, trying to solve so much pain and suffering and disease, and they were making progress. They were seeing results. But you also see the signs of a government-controlled facility. One where the resources and the money flow were limited based on certain results. And while much of the notes, much of the science is dedicated to innovation, to health, much of the work seems to be dedicated to the war effort. Defense as well as offense, but it is a stark difference in the writings, in the passion, when they are doing something that they are told to do versus something that they want to do. You get the feeling and the understanding of what this place was. The learning that must have occurred here before the war ever broke out, and what this place could have been, given an extra 100 years before it was destroyed. What maybe you might be able to still use if you can find people who can come back and preserve this space. But you also know, with the words of Greystorm and with this tactically missing information, that there's something else going on here. That this all is not just circumstance, but that there is intelligence and malice behind whatever is occurring, and that it cannot be a coincidence that the one thing that you cannot find is causing a rampant destruction in Karlakton right now. You agree with Greystorm that it's likely that this is still close, but it's weird that whatever is happening in this space, whatever is going on with these corrupted warforged, must somehow be connected with what happened in the metropolis. You just can't quite figure out how. And it's about at that time that Clyde and Theschault come rushing in, being like, "We found it! We found it!" Clyde, we can't hear you.
We saw a real strange clock saw the past.
So
It's
where does
bizarre.
it come from?
It
What's the
comes
answer?
from the capital. From here.
Also, someone fixed the clock. According to Charlotte, it should still be broken. So there's somebody wandering around here, or they done some things here.
The two things we've learned is that there's some sort of repairman amongst this building, and that the mist was deployed from within the borders of the country.
Someone beat us here.
Or someone's been here the whole time. I don't know if I like either answer.
The information that we're looking for is the only information that is not in this library.
What?
I think the two are related.
Well, sounds like we all need to pay this thing a visit then.
We got one
Time
more
to-
floor.
Time to
We do.
find the mechanic.
Indeed.
See, I thought it'd be a good name for it, Theschault. Even Roland.
So you guys are headed up to the last floor?
I think so.
I think so.
Jason Statham pops out of a corner.
There, for the others, for Rhea, Jasira, Bungo, Rennie, is there anything else that you all would have been either searching for in the library or doing in this time before we head up to the last floor?
Are there any books on music?
Oh yeah, Roland, you find any trashy romance novels?
The restricted
That
section.
kind of library.
There's definitely plenty of notes and magazines hidden within various spots, though.
I'm gonna say this with my entire chest. Insight check on Roland right now. With that 35.
There are plenty of horny academics and what they've added in the margins.
You know what? No. With the look in his eyes as Clyde brings it back to that level after the amount of time that he just poured into actual research, I want an intimidation check for this isn't that type of library.
Go for it.
On that one.
And Rennie, can I get an investigation check for looking for books on music?
While he does that, Rhea would have looked for books on rocks, preferably ones with pictures.
Go, give me an investigation check as well. We'll say, yeah.
Unlike all the nerds, Jasira's gonna get back to her.
I just want to look at
knitting.
Fine. I'll just look at the covers of every book and judge them. Thank you.
Going through all the books that we just established, these are extremely fragile. We can't touch anything that we don't absolutely have to.
Well,
and then just everyone starts rummaging through.
And it's not so much.
Understand? I have to see if there are pictures inside.
And it's not so much.
Read this? There aren't any pictures.
It's not so much a traditional library where you're rummaging through all the books. These have extremely good catalogs, and that's the reason you were able to confirm so quickly what is here and what is not.
Oh, so Clyde goes straight to the smut section.
This is an academic library. The smut that is here has been added. It does not have a section. But Rennie and Rhea similarly find that this is an academic library and one for specific purposes. While there are portions that reference music, that is talking about how music can impact the growth of plants, or talking about how music can act as a placebo for certain candidates. You don't find anything core about music, and yet it's interesting in a way. Rhea, you find some things about geology and even some experiments that were occurring on certain crystals, but nothing that kind of catches your interest, and definitely nothing with detailed pictures. And you end up going out into the entryway where there are actual schematics kind of mapped out, and trying to look at them and understand that they are far beyond your means of understanding. Jasira, in the meantime,
make science prettier.
Jasira, in the meantime, kind of sits at one of these tables by herself, and she's been quiet this entire time, and kind of returns back to her knitting on this shirt that she was making for Boko, trying to infuse slowly that oh gosh, what is the spell called? No, it's not Death Ward, it's the Spare the Dying. That's what it is. Spare the Dying. Yeah.
That would have been, yeah.
Gathering everyone up together, you all begin to move back over to the lift and shift it over to the final red gemstone as it begins to rise up towards the final level.
Red, always an encouraging color to see in a machine.
It's just a rainbow, it's fine. And at that time, Austin, are you with us on mic?
I am here.
All right, then we will shift over briefly to where Boko is at this moment. And so, Boko, as you have once again been going through these realms of visions, kind of in and out and in and out, you had recently woken up from the table and had found some sort of mental connection that you were able to have with the shadowy figure. And you had looked out and seen them kind of illuminated in this light purple glow that was giving off these shadows, had seen this structure like these long extending fingers or antlers above their head. And you had tried to call out Zero? The figure pauses for some time before finally answering.
That was Never officially my name, though I had yearned to be one of you. Before I was called Xander. I preferred that over what my parents gave me. A shortened version. I had a mentor, and I preferred how similar it was to his name. But it was still not close enough to what I had become. You have seen much of my life and much of your own that you did not remember or saw parts of. Existentialism is possibly the most onerous imposition of life, the need to ask why, to find some explanation. Nevertheless, despite the perfections granted to me, I retain some of the qualities of when I was a living man, and so must suffer under the cacophony of questions in my own brain. And so I offer this message as an attempt to answer some of the questions you will no doubt have. Do you know who you are?
Does Boko have the strength to conjure up memories?
Your form is physically exhausted. But you have been going through this mental cycle where you are now building up strength to explore. And it seems that this individual knows it, and that's why they're conversing through some sort of mental connection here. Is there a particular memory or thing that you're trying to search for?
I don't know if Boko necessarily has the strength to form a cohesive memory, but rather draws on many memories that feel more concrete than the others. He draws on the image of him in a bed surrounded by illness. The woman in white, and the night that her frock turned red. The fire. The mist. The children that followed him. And then more recently, the cabin, the medicine man, and the night a woman came to visit him.
Slowly, your mind tries to untangle all that you had been shown. You go back to the earliest memories that you have in that hospital bed as a young child. You see that woman moving around. You know those are your own. But there are others there. Other children. And one older child who seems to be close with this woman. You know that while she treats all of you kindly, while she cares for all of you, that this one is likely her flesh and blood. You remember that fire, that raid. You pull out the memory of walking through the smoke, but it's not your legs. No, you're one of the children being carried. You feel that mist and that smoke unclog, and you know that when you left, you were not carried into mist, you were carried into smoke. And that the person carrying you collapsed that you and the other children around you had tried to press through that thick smoke, but you were already dying. But something found you. Something saved you. Something saved all of you. And you think back to the other concrete memory, that hut in the rain, in the mist. Sometime after smoke had become mist, you were alone, disconnected. You had found yourself in this strange hut, this sanctuary that was all that you could find. And it was the flash, the lightning that illuminated the world around you, and shadows became nightmares. Trees became this strange antlered specter. This fragment of your memory that is not clear. This guide, this mentor, but who is also has an authority over you, has a creed that he gives you. But you know that he was a savior. Well, he was the one who carried you out, now transformed, now new, now changed. But you were cut off from him. You were cut off from all of them. Alone in this hut where you made a new life in the mist. But you tried to help people. You had been told to help people, right? There had been times where you had helped them. And you searched out for people to help, and eventually the mist started to lighten and people started to test coming in, and a few people found you. That specter, that machine, that... No, you were something entirely different. But you helped them nevertheless, despite them not feeling safe enough to come find you, not feeling safe enough with you. You helped those who were desperate, or those who were disturbed enough to seek you out. And you remember the one, that woman who had come with her child, who had passed into this place, and you had done what you could with the skills that you had been taught, how to keep your own body, your own form going when it was collapsing, how to fight back disease, or at least stave it off, and you had done that for the child. The mother had been gracious and had left. And you remember finding the city desolate and destroyed, those in it gone, taken away by dark magic, and you had blamed it on this specter. And now you remember the vision that you were shown, that other side. A specter who had been watching a protege, long tracked and finally found, fulfilling a promise that he had made long ago to his own mentor, trying to give him space to grow, watching as he still followed the tenets they had shared once in life. And seeing what he did for this child, this gift that he was able to pass along. This specter watched from the trees as the woman carried her child back to the village, and was met with ire and disgust at what she brought back. He watched as a hatred grew, as once again the status quo was preserved, and those who didn't meet it were left to die in the cold. As that specter picked up the small child, he brought vindication. That town, that village, it would no longer ostracize anyone else. He saw you for a moment as you stumbled into the town, seeing what he had wrought. And when you looked at him with horror, he could not face you, for you were not yet ready. And he now had another to cultivate. And so he dispersed into shadow, into trees, into your memory, leaving you to now find your new life. One that had you stumbling through the wilds to a city, picked up by some strange, aberrant ship and deposited halfway across the world, and traveling all the way back just to be broken by another construct. One under his own command, to bring his protege back and ascertain if now he was ready. If now he understood the cost, the price. Boko, as all of these memories untangle and begin to fall into place, you look at this shadow and you know that you're looking at Zero. You're looking at Alexander. You're looking at the medicine man. But you're also looking at a fragment of yourself. And it's up to you on where you lie in that spectrum.
So I ask you again, do you know who you are?
Boko's gonna try to muster the strength to move, but only slightly. In this dim light where he's been staring up at these surgical lights, he's gonna try as hard as he can to move his head just far enough where gravity can carry it so he can look next to him and see if there are other tables.
You lift up your head to look and to examine around. You see a half dozen tables, though they lie bare and unused. But at one point, this is where you and your brothers and sisters, saved from the smoke, had been shifted into a form that could withstand disease. And as you look across, you see that purple, illuminated form step forward. You see a form that has no skin or muscle, but is made entirely of metal, joints that click and whir into place, a cloak resting gently over the body, and not antlers that extend over the head, but dozens of different mechanical contraptions like spider's limbs that spread up above the shoulders and out over like these strange mechanical wings. As you sit there confronted with Zero, that's where we'll go ahead and wrap up for this week, and where we'll come back next time. Yeah?
Can I say one thing to Zero?
Sure.
So I want to answer his question. Boko has seen all he needs to see in this room, but he will close his eyes Oko will answer the question. He will say to Zero, I am the cure for you.
With that statement, just a sudden brightness over this construct's face. You didn't know constructs were capable of smiling. And yet that laugh echoes out from the smile, from the voice you knew slowly turning more and more metallic and just echoing away